guys, and welcome to our virtual lab today. You are going to be walking through with me as we do a DNA extraction lab. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take some DNA out of strawberries and then we're going to look at it under a microscope. This is something that you can do at home. You don't need that many ingredients. Most of them are things that we'll probably already have lying around the house, except for a microscope. But don't worry, I'll show you the picture of that at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to take you through kind of every single step from making the DNA isolation liquid to actually getting the DNA from the strawberries. That way, if you want to do this at home, you can. So first thing that we have to do is we have to make our DNA extraction liquid. So I just have some basic dish soap here. I have Dawn. So I'm going to do 25 milliliters of that in here. I have a beaker that measures how much I am going to be measuring out. But if you're doing this at home, you can just look up on Google how many milliliters in a cup or something like that, and you can do it the same here. So I've got my dish soap here, and then I need 5 milliliters or 1 teaspoon of some salt. So I've got that here. I'm gonna shake it on out into this little tiny beaker that I have. I think it's so cute. I don't have a teaspoon measuring spoon here in the classroom, but that's okay. All right, so we've got our 5 milliliters of salt. This is just plain sea salt, but I'm sure you can use whatever salt you have at home. And then finally, I need 500 milliliters of water. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour that into here until I'm at the 500 mark. Perfect. So I've got 500 milliliters of water. I'm gonna go ahead and pour in my salt. I'm gonna pour in my soap. Scrape it all off of here using my pipette. Sure it all gets inside. And once again, this is my DNA extraction liquid. This is going to help us get the DNA out of the strawberries. And it's basically just based off of how the different substances all react with each other. This is a little bit of chemistry in our biology class. And it's mostly just the soap helps break down the phospholipid bilayer. Remember, soap is really good at getting through fats and oils, and as we know, the phospholipid bilayer is fats. So that helps us get into the cell and the nucleus, and then helps us get access to the DNA. So I'm mixing it up here, make sure that everything is nice and dissolved. So that is ready to go. I'm just gonna let that sit there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my strawberries. So these were frozen strawberries and I just thawed them in the sink. I prefer using frozen strawberries instead of fresh strawberries just because they're easier to smash once you have them thawed. You can use fresh strawberries too if you'd like, but like I said, I like the frozen ones because they're easier to mash. So I have 3 strawberries in this bag. Come on, there we go. Whoop, there we go. 3 strawberries in here. I'm gonna throw away my crash. So essentially, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna mash out these strawberries. And like I said, because they're frozen, well, they were frozen, now they're thawed, it's a lot easier to squish them and mash them than if they were ripe. You don't need as big of a bag as I have. These were just the bag sizes I happen to have in the classroom, but you guys can use a little bag too, because we're really not gonna put that much liquid in them. So you wanna make sure that your strawberries are nice and pulverized. Take out all of your frustration on these strawberries. Say it's your fault, strawberries. You're the reason why we can't do this lab together in class. Just kidding. I've got my strawberries nice and mashed up. Now what we're gonna do is we're going to add our DNA extraction liquid. So we're only going to add 10 milliliters. So let me go ahead and pour my 10 milliliters of my DNA extraction liquid, which is essentially just soapy, salty water. I'm going to measure it out here. Whoop, there we go. 10 milliliters is essentially 2 teaspoons if you're doing this at home. So I've got my DNA extraction liquid. I'm gonna pour it in the bag and I'm gonna continue to mash. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our beaker here. I have a coffee filter on the top to help strain out the liquid. If you don't have coffee filters at home, you can just use a paper towel as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I'll be right back. All right, so this is a science class. It means we're ingenuitive. I'm gonna actually just cut off the edge of the bag here, and then almost as if I was a pastry chef, kind of just squeeze it out like it's icing into my coffee filters. That's gonna do its thing. I don't wanna squeeze it into the beaker. I'm just gonna let it filter out on its own. So I'm gonna let you guys watch this as it filters out, and then I'm gonna go get our final ingredient for this lab. I have to get some alcohol, just some 99% isopropyl alcohol. You can use 91 or 99. 70% isn't gonna do exactly what we want, but it's better than nothing. So I have to go grab that from the freezer, and then I will be right back. Have fun watching this strain out. My very cold, because it was in the freezer, isopropyl alcohol. Alcohol has a very low freezing temperature, which means that you normally won't get any alcohol ice cubes if you were to put it in your freezer. So to help this just continue to filter out, I'm just gonna stir it, and then I think what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna squeeze it per se, I'm just gonna give it some gentle pressure. But as you can see, I do have some liquid starting to accumulate on the bottom. And that liquid, believe it or not, actually has the DNA in it. So I'm just gonna keep mixing it and applying, like I said, the slight pressure. Oh, I might have accidentally made a hole in here. So I'm gonna take this big jar here, and then like I said, we don't need a lot of this. So I'm gonna strain it one more time into this little tiny jar, just in case any strawberry chunks got into the hole there. This is very difficult for me, but that's okay. You don't have to be as patient as I am, because I can speed up this video, and presto. so we're gonna do 3 milliliters, give or take. Let me try and get as much as I can up in this pipette. Oh, this is a 3 milliliter pipette, which means that the full thing is 3 milliliters. So I actually had more than I thought I needed. Perfect. So then in that case, we are ready to do the alcohol. Let me clean off my hands. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pour this alcohol down the side very slowly so that it can create a different layer that then allows the DNA to separate. And we should see it separate pretty quickly. Here we go. I'll put this in front of the camera so you guys can see. All of that white webbing, all of that, what almost looks like spider web, if you can see it, is DNA. I'm gonna put this here while I get the microscope ready. Okay, so looks like we can see we've got quite a bit of DNA that's isolated now, right? All of this webbing material. So what we're gonna do is I'm just going to use the tip of this to very lightly pluck some of it out. So let's see if we can get a little chunk of DNA. You guys see? That is DNA right there, that little thing that's at the very end of the pipette. So I'm gonna put it on a slide right here. Okay, come on, DNA, you gotta get off the pipette. Hey, there we go. Almost looks like a booger. Okay. So I'm gonna bring you guys over with me as we set up our microscope to view our DNA. So if you're wondering how I prepared the slide, I just laid the DNA down right here, and then I found a thinner part of it here, and I put the slide cover over it, so it keeps it in place when I look at it over the microscope. So let's go look at it under the microscope together. So you can see here the DNA under the microscope. Obviously, it looks a little different than what we see in our notes. This is a condensed form, but those are all little strands of DNA under there. And that is the lab. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed watching me go through the strawberry lab. It was my first time doing it, so you got to see some of the little road bumps that I encountered and how I was able to find those solutions. Just like I said, teachers make mistakes, human makes mistakes, and that's what science is about, is learning from those mistakes and innovating and trying to make discoveries. So we were able to isolate some DNA from our strawberry. Hopefully you guys are able to do this at home too. If not, you can use this video to answer all of the questions on the worksheet. If you guys have any questions about anything at all, of course, you know you can always send me an email and I can help you out. Otherwise, I will see you guys soon. Thank you.